Meeting will come to order at 8 p.m. Roll call.
Eric Miller.
Present.
Kevin Russell.
Present.
Julie Whitman.
Here.
Susan Austin.
Here.
Ron Silver.
Present.
All right. Will everyone please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I'm going to start off. I'm going to have Dax kick off on why we're here, and then I've got a few things to say, and then we'll get down to business.
You are here Friday. We were informed that Zionsville has been in discussions with Perry Township to start the process of reorganization. And so you're here tonight just from the perspective of discussing that, how that affects the town of Whitestown, and how you effectively can deal with the situation. That's the reason why you're here.
Steve, I wanted to start off with a question. I attended the Zionsville Council meeting about the reorganization with Perry Township, and it was discussed, I would say, 10 to 20 times that, you know, the reason they needed to do this reorganization was so that they could have a mayor. Is it necessary for them to do this reorganization to have a mayor?
No, it's not. There's actually two different statutes that they could use to change their structure and have a mayor, and neither of which would require them to do a reorganization with Perry Township. One is the statute that lets you basically convert a town to a third-class city. It would require a referendum of everyone inside of Zionsville's boundaries. And the statute actually also gives them the flexibility to kind of maintain their existing structure with the rural and the urban districts as well. So number one, there's that process, which is actually probably the easiest. And then secondly, the reorganization statute, they could use that to amend their reorganization plan right now without having Perry Township involved. Again, it would require another referendum, but it would not require them to use Perry Township to do that.
Okay, and the other reason, they only had two reasons. That was the main reason. It was discussed many times. The other reason was that so they could change the structure of their boards and commissions. Is that something that could be done outside of this reorganization also?
Yes, I would expect so. You know, their original plan for reorganization said that they were basically creating themselves as a town. And as you know, you guys as a town council have the authority to give powers to boards and commissions and take powers away from boards and commissions and create different boards and commissions. So again, two ways they could do it. One is following the normal procedures like any town council would to make changes to their boards and commissions. The other way would be to reorganize or amend their reorganization plan and use a referendum to do that, which again doesn't require them to bring Perry Township into their boundaries.
Okay. Hey, Dax.
Oh, yes, sir.
Can you pull up the map of the Zionsville reorganization?
Yes.
So they didn't say anything about economic development?
I don't have my notes with me, but Councilman Schuler, right?
Yes.
Kept asking that, and Papa and maybe a few others basically said that no, this doesn't have anything to do with economic development. But then he said at a later point in time that this area, I forget the exact wording, but he said this area has extreme potential for economic development. So,
which it does because of your sewer and water utilities,
Right.
your services.
Yeah.
That's why it is.
Yeah.
all right, so just a second, we'll get this map up here. I want to So I just, before I start with what I've got to say, I just want to say, you know, I think common sense tells you when you look at this and you see that green is Zionsville, I'm not sure where the common sense in that reorganization is. It's just lacking. I mean, because are they going to do anything over there to take care of those roads to improve anything? No. I mean, they're not going to. It's going to be, you know, I forget how many square miles, 20 square miles or something that basically is going to sit over there, and they're going to benefit from it. And I just also want to point out that the only area that actually is adjacent to their current green is a 1,600 linear square foot box down there at the bottom. I think this proposal just lacks common sense, is what I'll say. You know, they say that it's all about efficiencies, but I'm not seeing efficiencies when you're going to take away a few positions and then add other positions. I guess I fail to see where the efficiencies are. But in essence, what Zionsville has forced us to evaluate and make a decision now about what areas Whitestown expects to provide services to in the future. In order to do so and to preserve our options, we have prepared proposed annexation ordinances to consider for introduction. I'm extremely disappointed that Zionsville did not reach out to anybody at Whitestown, including myself, to discuss this ahead of time. Especially since it appears that Zionsville has been working on this plan for quite some time. I'm also disappointed that Zionsville proposal attempts to altogether leap over Whitestown and acquire areas that only Whitestown can realistically provide services to in the future. Zionsville's actions will require us to evaluate where and how we provide services, particularly in Zionsville's rural districts. Introducing these ordinances tonight allows us time to consider our options in light of Zionsville's actions last week. In summary, no one from Zionsville contacted Whitestown until last Friday to discuss the proposal or its impact on Whitestown and its services. This is particularly concerning given that any new development on that side of Whitestown would need and rely on Whitestown services and could not realistically come from Zionsville on the complete opposite side of Whitestown. At this time, it's necessary, I think it's necessary for us to reconsider the services that we provide to areas outside of the town's boundaries based on what Zionsville has proposed. And I think I would welcome any comments from anybody else.
One, are they gonna have a split fire department? That one, I can't understand that. You know, they're gonna have fire department, then have to go through Whitestown for the other fire department? The other thing is, realistically, as it stands right now, we are the primary responders to an emergency call in Zionsville rural, and we're not getting any money as a tax on it. And it's about time, if they're gonna do this stuff, that we stop doing that. We quit providing the services and let county and Zionsville take care of their own. Because it's costing our taxpayers money.
As I was thinking about this, getting ready to come over here, I thought, oh boy, I really would hate to go down this annexation road again. And then I just thought, who's going to provide the services in that area? And if that becomes Zionsville, and they're getting taxes and we're providing services, it's not right. It's just not right.
Mr. President, I will, it strikes me that when the original merger was done, Zionsville has two separate taxing districts, which seems odd to have a rural and then a village rate, or a rural and an urban rate, I guess. But in their rural rate, they only provide fire and police. They provide no roads, they provide nothing for that rural. In addition to that, they just started a storm sewer project where they're charging their rural folks storm sewer charges that live nowhere close. So if they're looking at jumping farther west than us, and by our own research have found out that we're already providing 90% of the police out there, I would have to agree with you. I don't see a realistic thing in that they've truly kind of backed us into a, I hate to say corner, but really that's the only legitimate word. They really have make us think about what we're going to do since we're already providing 90% of police over there. The county obviously couldn't keep up with the roads this winter. We helped them in areas that weren't even ours. And how Zionsville is going to jump entirely across us and box us in like that with, I'm sorry, I would agree with you. I find this very disheartening and very concerning that they've put us in this position immediately following just going to court regarding this, where certain things were already very well stated on how they were already provided. And that doesn't even get into water and sewer that we already provide to that whole area. That's, I'm sorry, I'm shocked. I'm just done.
I don't think there's anything more I can say that wouldn't be repeating everything.
Yeah. Looks like we're gonna be the bad guys again.
I'd ask Steve, and I don't know if this could be done tonight, but I honestly want to research how we can prevent our police department from providing the free services for Zionsville what they do now. That we, at least at the very beginning, pick our police department and quit providing emergency services to Royal Run, to Stonegate, and to the other places. How do we do that?
I don't think that's a public safety. They help us. When the thing just happened.
How do we bill them for those services?
They didn't, I'm sorry, I would disagree with that. They helped us at West Haven with what happened. They helped us, unfortunately, in the Anson complex. They helped us downtown along with the county. That's a public service. You can't really charge, and that's very much unfair. They take an oath to protect and serve. That's not our responsibility to cut service like that.
But I do think collecting the data
very much
is a good idea.
Yeah, I would disagree with cutting services. That's a public safety issue, and that's truly wrong.
But let's find out how often it happens, so we have that information to bring into discussion.
And it has to go both ways. How often do they help us? How often do we help them?
I agree. We wouldn't want to cut public services, but
you don't want to hurt anyone.
Public safety services.
No. Under any circumstances, we should never cut services for any reason and or charge. That's against the oath all of our officers, public safety, fire, police, all took.
Police and fire response should always be outside of politics.
Absolutely outside of politics.
So we continue to provide free services?
It is not a free service, it's a public safety. And all communities do it. It's what we're supposed to do. That's a political move that should have no bearing on public welfare. None. If our guys are tied up and there's unfortunately an accident or something in Eagle's Nest, you would never want someone to say, I'm sorry, we can't serve that.
Yeah.
A child would fall at a playground, our guys are tied up because there's a fire in Walker Farms, and that child or adult, you would never want someone not to respond to an emergency, regardless of who it is. That's just wrong, to even consider that. So that's a political move.
But do we bill for it somehow?
No.
I would not necessarily be opposed to making some kind of a financial agreement down the road, not just send them a bill, but first step would be collecting the data.
Right.
In both directions.
Absolutely.
And just establishing the facts. And then let's sit down and look at them and say, look, here's what's happening.
But that's kind of outside why we're here tonight. Totally outside why we're here.
Well, it's relevant though, because that's a
the data.
We're saying.
The data.
We're providing services.
The data is relevant, yes.
provide 90% of the police protection out there, as you said.
That was a round number, I'm guessing.
But, yeah.
Estimating. Sorry, not guessing, estimating.
So how much of the, is our South Annexation territory in gray there, or is it
No, it's
in green?
It's in green.
Green.
Can anybody like show me the overlap?
I can get close since I'm the closest. It's right.
Don't fall.
Yeah, don't fall. It's right here.
The current one. you
The
mean?
current, yeah, this current one, it's right here.
Oh, yeah.
I have a touch screen at work, I'm afraid to touch it.
It comes with saying the wastewater treatment plant site.
From 575 south, it goes up to 575, which is the road there that's south of
This
the.
is 267, so this would be
Yeah,
425, it
Yeah.
stops right here.
it goes west of that.
Does it?
It's probably about right
Yeah, because
there.
the plant's right here.
That's right, and then up to 575, which is that first county road that runs east, nope, down, the county, yes, that county road right
And then
there.
goes
There
back.
it is.
750.
Or 750, sorry.
I was gonna say.
You're right, you're right. That's why I don't know why I'm thinking 575.
575 is much further up. So that part,
If this gives anybody reference, this is, sorry, that's 300. This would be 267.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is 267.
So how many miles does it go west of 267?
Goes up to 300.
well, no, that's well past 300.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's the whole township.
Perfect.
How many miles is that, Dan?
To 300?
No,
100,
300.
it goes to 100.
From 267 to the end of the green.
Okay.
To the end of the green,
Well, on the left.
Yeah, that
I think it's about 3 or 4 miles
To 260, from 267.
from 267 on west.
And how do they propose to gain access to that area?
I think it's 3 miles.
Through
That's the
Whitestown?
half line of the township.
Well, I think you would have to go through Whitestown.
Well, they couldn't support it with water and sewer, that's for sure.
I think I'll say what, Councilman Schuler said the other day also, this doesn't seem to make sense that to get a mayor, we're gonna go do a reorganization that gets us, I forget how many square miles he said, 20 square miles, I think it was, he said. It just lacks common sense. There's some sort of hidden agenda.
So sorry, Mr. President, our option is to introduce an ordinance this evening or to actually start reading and move forward or pass it? I want to make sure I'm understanding.
So what you can,
Yeah, we're-
there's 4 ordinances that you
Okay.
have. You can introduce those ordinances tonight. That's all that you can do tonight.
That's
Obviously,
all.
as you guys know, we've done,
Right.
annexation is a multi-step
Right.
process.
Right.
The next step would be to start preparing the fiscal plans,
Okay.
to start evaluating these issues and considering, do we want to adjust the territories or do we just want to, where do you want to go with that?
Okay.
But that would be preparing the fiscal plan. Then, once you would adopt a fiscal plan by resolution, then you send out notice to the property owners, then you hold a public hearing, and then after a public hearing, after certain periods of time, then you can actually adopt an annexation ordinance.
So
there's
the
a-
introduction would just happen tonight,
Uh-huh.
and then at our next meeting, the first read, and then at our May meeting, we could start, the fiscal plan would be presented?
We could do that.
I'm just trying to make sure I got a timeline.
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would entertain introducing these tonight
Do we wish
to
to
get the
enter?
ball rolling.
So can we look at the maps? Are we talking about all of that same territory?
No, it is not.
Do we want to just do the first one first, or do we want to go over do we want to do these one at a
I'd
time?
like to look at all of the territory before we.
I read them at home, but how do you want to do, Mr. President, do you want to introduce these one at a time?
Yes. That would be ideal.
I would make the motion that we introduce these by title, full title, as our introduction to
We can just read them.
We can read them? That's right.
Unless somebody
Yep.
I
objects.
changed the rules, I'm sorry.
I'll read it.
You
Ordinance 2014-12, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, annexing territory to the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, placing the same within the corporate boundaries thereof, and making the same a part of the Town of Whitestown, the 2014 Perry West annexation. That's first read.
Thank you.
Can we go ahead and introduce 13 while you're looking at the maps and we're going over?
Well,
Yeah.
I'll just go through and read
You
them.
might as well read it
Introduce them all.
Yeah.
And this will be the first read of ordinance 2014-13, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, annexing territory to the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, placing the same within the corporate boundaries thereof, and making the same a part of the Town of Whitestown 2014 Perry Northwest annexation. First read. Ordinance 2014-14, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, annexing territory to the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, placing the same within the corporate boundaries thereof, and making the same a part of the Town of Whitestown, 2014 South annexation. First read. And ordinance 2014-15, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, annexing territory to the Town of Whitestown, Indiana, placing the same within the corporate boundaries thereof, and making the same a part of the Town of Whitestown, 2014 Whitestown Parkway annexation. First read.
Thank you. Steve, can you explain ordinance 2014-15, because it may cause some confusion.
Do you want to skip 13 and 14?
Can we,
Do them in
Mr.
order?
President, would you like, can we look at them each in order?
We can go in order,
Thanks.
if that's the desire.
Sorry.
So this is the northwest.
So how do we come up with these?
Okay.
Territories?
Well, the, you know, I think the answer to that is we had discussions about, you know, where the town, as we sit here now, and let me explain this, in the reorganization territory. And I don't want to give the impression that Zionsville has the authority to do this, because I don't think that they do, right? I think that this is an illegal reorganization. But to the extent that you can do a reorganization, the reorganization statute says that we can introduce an annexation ordinance, so we can start the annexation process in that area as long as we do it before they adopt their final plan of reorganization, which has not happened yet. They need to hold public hearings and do things before they can do that, and they haven't done that yet. So the statute allows us to come out here and annex right now. And that's why we kind of, so with that in mind, you know, we looked at where realistically did we think that the town would envision providing service or needing to provide service without looking like we're trying to do a territory grant, because that's not the point of this. But where in the future, if we have to annex it right now, are we going to probably be providing these services? Where are we going to provide sewer and water service to? And County Road 300 seemed like a natural extension to where we would envision providing services. So you always have the right to adjust this afterwards. But within, with respect to Lebanon, we can annex within 3 miles of Lebanon's boundaries as long as we don't extend more than 1 mile. So we also looked at, you know, how far could we go with respect to that. So that was just different factors that we kind of took into account in terms of what were we actually going to put and introduce it tonight. And there were lots of discussions with staff and stuff about where we end up on this, and that was kind of where we ended up.
If it helps anybody on this, on the 13, this corner right here is where the new water towers go.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
want to
so
make
you
sure
see
that,
sort of
okay.
Puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
sort of
I'm sorry, I was on 12.
with Sarah.
Oh, yeah, no, we're working on 13.
Okay.
No, we're still working on.
Oh, we're working on
Okay.
12? I'm sorry, I
I
thought we
was
were
on
on,
12.
ahead.
Yeah, we're on 12.
my bad, I thought we were on 13.
So,
My bad.
Why 4 and not 1? Are these pieces not contiguous to each other?
Yes,
Correct.
that's right. Each area has to be entirely contiguous to it. So there was a case that came out several years ago that said you can't annex multiple areas in one ordinance unless they're all attached to each other.
They're all attached to us, just in different.
That's right, that's right.
We're 62% attached to ordinance 12.
That's the contiguous calculation based on the pros.
62.2% attached?
And contiguity is defined as 1/8. So you would need to be at least 1/8 in order to do
And
anything.
we're well.
You're well above that, that's right.
Well above that.
Does anybody have more questions on 2014-12? If not, let's move on to 2014-13, Perry Northwest.
My apologies, Councilman, for jumping the page. That one made sense, I went on to the next one.
On its ordinance, we're 50% to the name again. That's significant enough.
I have no questions on 13, Mr. President.
Any questions?
No.
No.
2014-14, South Annexation.
So this is the little piece between Eagle's Nest and the current.
This is the little piece, and I think Steve might want to explain on that.
Well, I mean, number one, that gap came up in our annexation trial about why we left that out. And, you know, that it made good sense to go ahead and bring that into the town now as well. A portion of that, and this probably leads into 15 as well. A portion of that is Zionsville rural right now. And 15 is Zionsville rural, includes this territory that is in the Zionsville rural district. The reorganization statute allows you to, 1 year after if you have a reorganization that is approved, finally approved, which they had, 1 year after it's done, the statute allows you to initiate an annexation into that territory. So the reorganization statute lets you do this. There's several other pieces to the reorganization statute that make it clear that the reorganization doesn't affect our rights. The only way that Zionsville can do this reorganization that they're proposing is if that is considered, that area, Zionsville rural, and especially the area on the south there, that little island, is considered a township. And that's what they're saying is this is a township. Well, again, we can annex into a township. So number one, the reorganization statute allows us to annex that area. And number two, the Zionsville's reorganization plan concedes that it's a township that we can annex into.
That 1 year after reorganization that they could have annexed, like, does that time lapse and then they lose that right, or is it just any time after a year?
That we can, it just says, it lays out before, when can we initiate an annexation? One, we can do it up until the final plan of reorganization is completed, or up until the final plan of reorganization is adopted, which is why we can do it right now out in Perry Township. Then it says, what happens if a plan of reorganization is not approved by the voters? Then we could do it right away again. If it is approved by the voters, then 1 year after the plan is implemented, we can again annex into the
Okay.
territory. That's what the reorganization statute says.
Okay.
And so with respect to Zionsville Rural or former Eagle
Okay.
Township, it's been more than a year since
Okay.
that plan has been implemented. And again,
So our revenue
by them
returns.
basically acknowledging that they're not providing any services out there and it's really a township,
Uh-huh.
they have confirmed that what the statute says, which is
Okay.
that we can do an annexation out there.
I have no questions on 15, Mr. President.
All right, moving on to 15. Does anybody else have any questions?
So all this 15 section is also considered Zionsville Rural? That's part of their Eagle reorganization?
Yes, that used to be a part of Eagle Township, and that would be commercial area
Right.
that we provide sewer and water service to as well.
And we're contingent 70%,
That's right.
so just shy of 3/4.
Yeah, it's more than 60% subdivided.
What does that mean?
In a remonstrance trial, there's different factors that come into play, and one of them can be, not always, but it can be whether or not it's 60% subdivided. It makes it's much easier to annex an area that's 60% subdivided
Because it's
or
already developed.
commercial business industrial use, which this would be. Yeah, so it's actually, you also have waivers, annexation waivers have been signed by some of the property owners out there in exchange for the sewer service.
We're providing the sewer service and for all intents and purposes, the police service.
I would venture to say you're the one police that responds to calls at Cracker Barrel, for example.
Council, Summer just said, we're not going to stop. So
Which can be that relevant if there is a remonstrance. I wouldn't expect there to be there, but it was certainly, as I think you guys have alluded to, in our remonstrance trial on the current South annexation, we talked quite a bit about the level, extent to which our police runs, or the runs that make the police runs, actually in all of Perry Township.
Now, just to confirm, on 2014-15, we provide the sewer and the water to all of those lots, right?
Yes. Some of them, most of them are undeveloped at this time.
But we would
We
provide.
would provide them.
Yes.
You're all around them.
And Max
It's your territory.
Road is actually ours. The one that we discussed didn't have a name.
Yeah.
Between Burger King and the old Sitka. That Max, that's actually ours, correct, already?
No.
That one is that, okay. I
It's
didn't
not-
know.
That's in Eagle Township.
Okay.
It is not.
The guys must have plowed it to get to Burger King.
Yeah,
They must have been hungry.
Somebody
They were probably hungry.
Starbucks.
They needed coffee, so they must have plowed it. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus. Gotta eat.
Are there any further questions?
I guess my main question is then what's next? I assume that we intend to start a dialogue with Zionsville about this.
I think we certainly hope that it would start a dialogue, yes. It would have been nice if they started that dialogue sooner.
Right.
That would have been much appreciated because I thought we had a friendly relationship. And,
Yeah.
I thought we could be straightforward with each other, but clearly that's not what happened. So.
I would, at this point, they didn't broach, are we intending to go to them, or are we gonna, oh, by the way, we did this just like they did and surprise them? I mean, I don't wanna.
No.
Well, I think it's gonna be in the
It's
paper
not gonna be-
before we get it.
Can you leave that fumble out,
I'm pretty
so?
certain it's gonna be in the paper.
Okay,
Uh,
surprise.
And yes,
Okay.
we will give them a heads up because, I mean, that's the
Courtesy thing to
That's
do.
the proper thing to do.
Because we still take the high road.
Exactly.
I would like to see us.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
I really
Yes.
want to see us
Oh,
initiate a
yeah.
sincere dialogue. We have a lot of joint projects we're thinking about, we're looking at, that we could be doing in the future, and I don't want to trash this relationship. whatever is left of it. I think we need to try to figure it out.
I would perhaps hope that they think along those same ways, but I'm not sure if their current actions say that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think their current actions scare me.
I think,
I can't say how disappointed I am in him. I really, I'm so disappointed and flabbergasted that they would do this.
To get a mayor? Go to this length to get a mayor?
And they apparently don't need to do that from what we're being told, so what is the real reason?
I think Ronald Reagan, Parkway.
They need commercial development. They need it to support their school system.
I wonder what it costs to run a water line all the way out there from Zionsville.
Well,
Be pretty pricey. It's
they'd actually,
$12 million.
It'll be more than that.
I mean, they'd have to have booster stations. They'd have to have a source.
What I really don't like about this, and I don't know, I don't like to speculate about people's motivations. I don't like that it allows Whitestown to be painted as a land grabber, as a, oh look, see, they're annexing again, and what that perception is going to be.
That we were reactive again. Yeah. Or
I don't like
still,
it.
No,
none of us do.
it'll still be portrayed as though they did it to protect themselves against Whitestown.
Protect them.
But they're the ones who took the first steps, but that will be the perception that gets portrayed, that they had to do this because of Whitestown.
3 miles.
Not because of mayor.
3 miles west of their current boundary.
Yeah, I know.
And it's a
More than
township
that.
boundary at that.
You know, you guys
Wow.
are about to spend $20 million on a wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah.
That
Our spending.
allows southern Boone County to develop. Without you doing it, this area would never develop anywhere down here. There would be no more development in southern Boone County. Whether it's in Zionsville, Zionsville, Eagle Township, whether it's in Perry Township, or it's in Whitestown, or it's in southern Lebanon, they all need Whitestown, and you guys are the ones that are investing in that.
We have taken a lot of hits because we have not been patting ourselves on the back or promoting ourselves, but it was the vision that we had in putting the infrastructure in Whitestown that is going to allow the development in southern Boone County. And now it's, let's jump on coattails and try to ride to fame.
$6.5 million on a water capacity project that Boone County and Lebanon and Zionsville all participated in a regional water study and determined that there is no water out here. There's no water. And they proposed a plan that Whitestown had basically already started, and actually had already started construction on. So you guys have invested to do things that everybody else has said needs to be done for this area, and you would need to be the ones to provide service anywhere over there.
And we had the vision before they did.
Yeah, but we didn't want a mayor. That's the problem.
And we didn't want any more committee changes or commissions. We were pretty happy with the ones we have. But that mayor is important. I'll give you that, Mr. President. The mayor is
It
important.
is. I would entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
Oh, wait.
Sorry.
One more thing, you just
Sorry.
While you have the opportunity that everyone's here,
Do we need to make a motion to amend our special agenda or something?
no, this doesn't need a motion or anything.
Okay.
I just want to put this on the record. The Perryworth Road relocation is going to be on the street for contractors to pick up next week.
Okay.
It bids on May 28th. I have a title sheet here that I need every council member to sign.
Okay.
That's it.
Cool.
So before you leave today, if you would please sign this.
We'll just start it down here.
I'll make a motion that we both have to sign in the title sheet.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.